allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you roll call, please?
Mayor Beagle,
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Present.
Councilmember Behrman,
Here.
Councilmember Gotchel,
Here.
Councilmember Grunland Fox, here. Councilmember Sharp,
Present.
Councilmember Smiley,
Here.
quorum present.
Thank you. Changes or additions to the agenda tonight as presented. City Manager?
Other than the revised new business number 5 for the agenda, that's the only difference. Not a change or addition, it's just a notes there.
Thank you. Any from the dais? All right. With that, we'll move on to our presentation. We have a presentation. It's the Oath of Office for Firefighter 2 EMT Jody Bannerman. Fire Chief Jeff Roberts.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Tonight I present to you Jody Bannerman. Jody began his passion for the fire service at 14 when he became an explorer in Highland Township, Michigan. Jody has served many fire departments and EMS agencies throughout his career, most recently with Detroit Fire and EMS. Jody comes to us with 25 years of fire and EMS experience. And he and his fiancee, Shannon, live in Wixom. They've lived here for 6 years, and Shannon is here tonight to pin on his badge. Madam Clerk.
Very good.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the Charter and ordinances of the City of Wixom, Oakland County, Michigan, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties and responsibilities of firefighter 2 EMT according to the best of your ability?
I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I did ask him to sign a waiver.
I wore 2 shirts, one will soak up the blood.
Congratulations. All right, we're going to take a brief,
There's cake.
yeah, there's cake, so we're going to take a brief couple minutes, cake. And then also in the back is the newest addition to the fire department's equipment, the Bravo 2 truck, if you guys want to go take a peek at that. So we'll take about a 10-minute break right now. Rejoin the meeting and move on to approval of minutes. We've got one set of minutes to approve tonight, and those are the minutes from the regular city council meeting of September 28, 2021. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? I got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting of September 28, 2021. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? One item of correspondence tonight, and that's a memo regarding an emergency project change order approval for the fire storage building. Next up is call to the public. First call to the public. The rules of call to the public are as follows. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence, and again, immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council. And all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the first call to the public? First call to the public. I'll close the call, first call to the public, and move on to city managers' reports. We've got two tonight. The first one is the fire report for August 2021. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Yeah, there's notably 53 additional runs, August 21 versus 20, and 10 of those were hazardous condition. Were those line down during storms, or what were those types of calls?
Many of those, yes, sir, were calls for wires arcing in the trees or lines down in the subdivisions or alike.
Nothing out of the ordinary outside of the power outages.
Right, right. There was a few hours one day where we closed Grand River, so that was
And that's what those
Yeah.
runs were. And then, of course, medical emergencies.
right.
were-
The majority of the increases were medical.
Yeah. Okay.
Councilmember Berman?
My question was just on the increase of transportations. It looks like in August alone, we transported more than most of our other months combined.
Well, if you recall, the hospitals became much more readily accepting patients for short term there. They have again become much fuller as a result of the Delta variant.
Okay, so that's what's increased, that's
Yeah.
increasing the transports.
We tend to transport about 12 a month. That's our average over the course of transportation.
And we take those over here in Valley.
If we're in the north end of town, we go to Huron Valley. The majority of them they'll go to Providence.
I was talking about the versus us transporting versus Huron Valley.
Oh, Huron Valley ambulance. Yes, sorry. Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to the police report for August 2021. Any questions? Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mayor Beagle. Hello, Chief Moore. I told you I was going to ask about this, but just jumped out at me on, we had a kidnapping in August, or I'm talking, you probably can't tell us too much, but it's a rare occurrence. I was wondering, what could you tell us about it?
Certainly. It is rare to see a kidnapping/abduction on a monthly report. I can tell you that the incident is currently under investigation, and what I will tell you is that it was based on an acquaintance. So we're not, although it's very serious, and our detectives are taking it very serious, it's not the type of incident where somebody was abducted off the street. It's not a stranger relationship.
And correct me if I'm wrong, they often are an acquaintance. Kidnappings in general, right?
Correct. It's some sort of acquaintance, or many times it's a parental type custody situation.
Hopefully it works out well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Councilmember Gremlin Fox?
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I see that the Part A crimes are up. What are we doing to address that? Is there more police presence, or can you talk about what our strategy is?
Sure, I'd be happy to. One that caught my eye, several caught my eye on here, one being the assaults. You see that the assaults were 9 as opposed to 6 this time last year, or August of last year. Many of those assaults were domestic violence in nature. So as far as a preventive patrol strategy, there really isn't one to prevent a domestic violence type situation. Really, of the 9 that we had, and again, we take them all seriously, but of the 9 that we had, only 1 was an unknown perpetrator against an unknown victim. So as far as patrol strategies there, I don't really have one. But with respect to the larcenies, you see where it went from 18 in 21, and it was 8 in 20. And I can tell you that's the catalytic converters. And I've already discussed that problem that we, as well as many other municipalities in Oakland County, are experiencing. 8 of those 18 were catalytic converters. And we are attempting to increase patrols, particularly at nighttime. But when we're getting hit, we believe, by multiple crews in multiple venues. Some are residential, our apartment complexes, some are commercial, some are industrial. Again, that makes the patrol strategy difficult. And with respect to the burglaries, I guess the last one I'll comment on, with respect to the burglaries, we had 2 residential burglaries and 2 business burglaries, 1 to the same business. 2 of those were to the same business, and we do have a suspect in that one. Yeah.
Is there anything we can tell our residents as far as precautions that they can take with regard to the larceny and the catalytic converters?
Sure. I coordinated with Mr. Benson about a month ago, and I put out a communication, or actually Mr. Benson put out a communication on my behalf to the business community from his master email distribution list with some crime prevention tips. If we're discussing a business, if possible, and I know this isn't possible with some of these larger companies, but if possible, bring your fleet vehicles inside. I know that's impossible with some. I know warehouse space is at a premium. I know loading docks are jammed full, but if you have the ability, bring your vehicles inside the building. Lighting in the parking lots, motion sensors in the parking lots, cutting down shrubbery or that might be adjacent to a parking lot where a perpetrator could hide. Perhaps parking your vehicles instead of behind the building, maybe park them out in front of the building. These were some of the tips that I put out through Mr. Benson to our public.
Is there a percentage as far as how many of these are taken from businesses and how many are residential?
About 60-40 in favor of the businesses.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Public safety to come on. One that caught my eye was the weapons offense.
Yes, it caught my eye too. So I looked into that, and I apologize that number 7 should be a number 3. Although 3 is too many, but
It's better than 7.
better than 7, yes.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. And with respect to those are going to be your CCW, your carry concealed weapon violations where the person was arrested for something else and happened to have a firearm in their possession in violation of a CPL, concealed pistol license.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? All right, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Next up is the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the consent agenda and added to the regular agenda at the end of unfinished new business. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Support. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? We'll move on. We have no unfinished business tonight, so we'll move on to new business. Item number 1, it's a recommendation to approve the renewal order for Barracuda cloud-based email archive and spam filter services through SHI International Corporation, utilizing the Michigan Master Computing Program contract, My Deal, for an annual amount of $5,238.72. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Brown?
Nothing major to really add to the report that was provided to Mayor and Council. This is a routine service rebid that we went through, and we utilized the pricing that was available through the My Deal pricing arrangements. and received the expenses reflected here of $5,238.72. SHI was the existing provider and again was the ideal winner of that bid process.
Very good. Any questions? All right, seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve the renewal order for Barracuda cloud-based email archive and spam filter services through SHI International Corporation utilizing the Michigan Master Computer Program contract, My Deal, for an annual amount of $5,238.72. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business number 2 is a recommendation to renew the winter maintenance agreement with the Road Commission of Oakland County for Pontiac Trail from the western city limits to Beck Road and Loon Lake Road from Benstein Road to the city limits by adopting the authorizing resolution and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Tim, go ahead. This is just routine. We do this every year, correct?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a routine item that we do. We particularly do Pontiac Trail because we have the opportunity to drive those a little more frequently than the road commission at that point. And then Loon Lake Road to Benstein, it just gets our residents a little more use, and we take pride in our streets, and we want to get them done as quickly as possible.
If you don't, you hear about it.
That's right.
Any questions? Councilmember Smiley?
Hi, Tim. Just, I know this is an agreement that works out for us, it works out for Oakland County. Just, you'll let us know if ever it turns back to a reason where this is not good for us.
Yes, definitely. And,
that's all. It's really not even a question, just a comment. You'll let us know if this ever turns the other way and we don't like this deal anymore.
Right.
All right. Thanks.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Just a comment. I know this comes up every year, but the Pontiac Lake still shows up in the exhibit.
I missed that one.
I think it's like the 4th year.
I got the eastern limits or the northern limits one on Loon Lake, but yes, thank you. I thought I had them all.
I think it's been there for years.
It has.
Anybody else?
Just checking to see if you're paying attention, Deputy Mayor. You passed.
Remember you pointing that out last year?
Anybody else? All right, seeing none, I have a motion to approve the recommendation to renew the winter maintenance agreement with the Road Commission of Oakland County for Pontiac Trail from the western city limits to Beck Road and Loon Lake Road from Benstein Road to the city limits by adopting the authorizing resolution and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business item number 3 is a recommendation to accept Hubble Roth and Clark's proposal for design and construction engineering services for paving projects in the Maple Run 2 subdivision for a price not to exceed $35,510 for design engineering and $65,090 for construction engineering. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Tim?
So each year we try and get one of our projects to move forward on the repairs of our road systems, and this one has been in the works for a number of years, and we need the engineering to be provided within the next few months so that we can get it out on the streets. We're hoping to get it out early in 2022 so that we get fair pricing. If we wait too long and if we put it out to bid in the early spring, most of the contractors already have their business set up for the summer months, and we want to get ahead of that. So we're trying to be proactive.
Councilmember Berman.
Thank you. Tim, what exactly are we looking to do? I mean, just shy of 600,000 for repairs isn't going to replace everything in that sub.
That is correct. And we looked at catch basins, and there'll be some catch basin repairs. There's always a number of manholes that we like to tuck point and to look at just to make sure that they're going to last through the next 20 years. And if we need to replace a cover or something like that, we do that. The other parts of it, just making sure that along the curb and gutter that would be spot point or spot repairs. So we'll have that. Then we're looking at a 4-inch lift on the asphalt itself, so it's a little more than what we did, I think, in the Highgate subs. But that's kind of what we were looking at on this one, just because of the way certain portions were degrading. If we go 4-inch, I think the idea was that we would be able to not have as many repairs, so it would
So
be less cost advantage.
Are we grinding down any of the existing asphalt?
Yes, we take it 2 inches at least off the existing.
And then put 4 inches back on top to have more of a dip?
And that's the plan, is that?
And that's for the entire street, the overlay?
The asphalt pieces, yes.
Okay. The other thing I noticed, like mailbox replacement, are we gonna have to remove all the mailboxes for the sub just for that project? That seems like a lot of money just to relocate all the mailboxes.
Typically, we do not do all the mailboxes, just in case we have to do some, just for the purposes of which side of the road we're working on. We would do that, but maybe Mike has some comments on that.
A lot of it depends on what the post office requires. Well, first let's talk about pavement. We're planning a full pavement removal, full pavement removal and replacement, working on the existing aggregate base. So it should be 3 to 4 inches of pavement removal. Mailboxes, the post office might make us put like gang boxes out front in the subdivision during construction. I don't think that's a possibility with this, because we don't have as much curb removal as we have in other projects. This curb is really tough construction, long, so you usually want the mailboxes moved out front. But this will just be as needed. But we kind of plan how going out.
And just for the record, this is Mike Darger from HRC.
Okay, that was just, and we think the 600,000 budgeted, or 573 will cover that entire project?
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
There's one final ask on the ADA ramp. Those will be replaced and upgraded to current standard on 100% of them?
Yes.
Okay, so I know they're pretty steep right now, so they'll be the new standard.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the curb removal is, on the radius sense.
On the radius sense. Okay. All right, thanks.
All right, so no more questions. I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to accept Hubbell Roth & Clark's proposal for design and construction engineering services for paving projects in the Maple Run 2 subdivision for a price not to exceed $35,510 for design engineering and $65,090 for construction engineering. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business number 4 is a recommendation to accept Hubbell Roth & Clark's proposal for design and construction engineering services for secondary clarifier capacity improvements and upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant for a price not to exceed $152,660 for design engineering and $172,500 for construction engineering. Is there a motion?
So move.
Support? You're up again.
So recently we were speaking with some industrial users that could potentially increase the wastewater sewage coming to the treatment plant. Additionally, as you know, we are connected to the Milford Township, or Milford Township also has several developments that are looking like they're going to be here sooner than we had expected. So we would like to get ahead of that with the design of certain portions of the treatment plant. And a couple of those that we've had in the 10-year capital were the revisions to the secondary clarifiers, which would take out the center columns and replace some of the mechanisms in that. We have 3 of those, and additionally, we want to add a 4th clarifier to the system. This has been planned, well, it was originally designed for having 4 secondary clarifiers there, and this would be just the new upgrade to increase our capacities to the plant. And that's why we're making this recommendation at this time.
Any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick?
So with the anticipation of Flint development doing all phases, will this be enough capacity then to handle that as well?
That's our anticipation, yes. And then additionally, the Milford Township side of things is really ramping up too. So part of the basis of design will be to decide or to distinguish between those 2 projects, how much would be going to each one for financing purposes. That makes sense.
Hey, Tim?
Yes.
With the Flint development and the Milford projects, and with these improvements, where will we be at as far as capacity?
The capacity is, we're moving towards 4 million gallons a day on a daily dry weather. Right now it's just under 3 million, so we would add another 1 million gallons a day, roughly. Is that right?
But we'd have more room if needed?
Correct.
Okay.
So that, just to clarify, that this expansion or addition to the clarifier system is intended to add enough capacity to cover the anticipated development that the Flint development project, as well as the residential side of things, and still have additional capacity left over, so it does incorporate all of those into the estimates.
Very good. Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mayor Bingham. Tim, so you mentioned that, we've always had this plan to have a fourth piece to, our wastewater treatment plant.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, is that something that was, planned at the very beginning, or is that a more recent upgrade that allowed for that?
Actually, back, in 1994, when this plant was, this portion of the plant was designed, there was an area for a 4th clarifier. You can, if you go into the gallery, you can see the rounded area where a 4th clarifier would actually be. So there will be, yeah, it'll have, it was designed years and years ago for that extended capacity at that time.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it for years, plan for this 4th element, but
Yeah.
I just wondered if that was in the initial conception of the plan.
And there are other upgrades moving forward that would be planned too, that were conceptual back then.
Sure. And then this kind of leads up into my final question. That is will that max us out, I guess, for capacity, or is there still room for, I don't know, a 5th piece to be put in someday? And I don't expect you to have a crystal ball, whether we need it or not. I'm just wondering, is that all possible?
For capacity purposes, there's the pollutants that we look at, the conventional pollutants of BOD, phosphorus, ammonia, and suspended solids. We look at those separately. The BOD is a biochemical oxygen demands that it's part of the aerobic system, the bugs, if you will, that we have. So that would be an additional oxidation ditch at some point, which I'm not really prepared to start with that yet.
I don't want you to.
That would be one of the next ones, which would be the part of the biological process that would have to be upgraded. But this is for hydraulic capacity issues. So and that right now is just the 4 clarifiers.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Sherp?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe this is better directed to City Manager Brown, but can you remind council why we did not bid this out or put it out for multiple engineering source?
Yeah, so I can answer that. This is an expensive project, obviously, with the engineering costs, but at the same time, it's also pretty specialized in terms of our wastewater treatment plant being a pretty complex operation, and our existing consulting engineer, HRC, has longstanding knowledge of the wastewater treatment plant that I thought it would have been a a poor choice to not utilize their services on this, so there's competing interest there. It could be a one-time project that could be looked at in that kind of circumstance for bid, but I think the expertise that HRC has vis-a-vis our wastewater treatment plant is best taken advantage of, and I think we would do ourselves a disservice if we tried to do an outside bid on this project. Thank you.
I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation and accept Hubbell Roth and Clark's proposal for design and construction engineering services for secondary clarifier capacity improvements and upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant for a price not to exceed $152,660 for design engineering and $172,500 for construction engineering. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business number 5 is a recommendation to approve the acquisition of property easements located on parcels referred as 121 and 119 North Wixom Road and 49630 and 50,000 Pontiac Trail for $56,900, $11,800, $28,120, and $10,500 respectively, with the total not to exceed cost of $107,320 from account numbers 253-730-972.000, land acquisition for the purpose of facilitating the development of the Phase 2 Michigan Airline and Huron Valley Trail Extension Project. Do you have a motion?
So moved. Support.
City Manager?
Yeah, so this is something that was originally placed in your council packets at the end of last week when incomplete information was available. So I had indicated at the time that I was placing that in there as sort of a initial report to council that would likely be replaced, and we did have some subsequent new developments that I needed to address in the new report that was provided to you as a body today. So the situation here is in relation to that trail project that was referenced in the recommendation in the subject. The second phase of the Michigan Airline Trail is taking place, and because of certain complications that were happening with lack of cooperation from CSX Railroad as well as LSRC, the company that operates that section of CSX rail line through the city of Wixom, we had originally intended to cross on the existing old co-rail line and cross the existing inaction CSX rail line. We were unable to obtain any cooperation from the railroad operations on that front, and because of that we had to pursue a new route for Phase 2 of the trail, which runs down Wixom Road essentially, and then crosses over in front of our business district downtown on Pontiac Trail, passes in front of a couple of business entities, AFC Holcroft and Corex, and then proceeds north back to connect to the former coal railroad line that we do own and control. The good news about that route change is I think it's going to be fantastic for our downtown businesses. I think it's going to be great for Wixom overall, but it comes with the added expenses related to the need to obtain, either by purchase or through easements, access to private property that is owned outside of the city of Wixom. So we've gone through a very long process of negotiations with a variety of property owners. You recall that back in August that we purchased some property, and we also now we're proceeding with easements at these different locations that are referenced in the report. And we've got 121 North Wixom Road, 119 North Wixom Road, and 49630 Pontiac Trail that we did get, if you will, under an agreement or almost a contract kind of an arrangement where we have an agreement to go ahead and proceed with purchasing easements. The easements are basically going to be allowing us to utilize a portion of those property owners' property to run the second phase of the Michigan Airline Trail route on their property. And we had needed to obtain 4 additional either purchases or easements, and we've obtained those 3 easements that I mentioned, and we're working with the additional property owner on a potential agreement for that last piece that was not closed before today. So this council report is asking you to approve essentially the 3 purchases that we've already got an agreement with or for, and then prospectively approve that last transaction with a not to exceed amount of $10,500 on the offer for that easement. We would then try to finalize that agreement with that property owner and try to get that easement also tucked away, if you will, and have that also under our control so that we can proceed as originally intended. However, we do have a second option here if we don't come to agreement with that property owner. We already have an easement on that property. It's just for a slightly smaller or less width of property than we would like. And we would be able to proceed with the project regardless of our success on that last easement. There's two pieces that I would point out. It would allow us greater flexibility if we get this additional easement to add on to that original easement. And then also we would be able to address something that the property owner is concerned about, which would be providing a fencing barrier to make sure that people are staying on the trail and not getting into their property. So we're hopeful that the combination of the purchase price offer of that $10,500 as well as the benefit of being able to provide that fence line to them, which is something they're interested in, will be enough to bring about an agreement on that last easement. But we do have the option to proceed if we don't get it. So we're asking for approval on these 4 easements, one of which is prospective. If you give me permission to proceed with all 4 of them and I'm unable to obtain that last easement, we'll just not make the expenditure on that amount.
Any questions? Councilmember Sherb?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What question I forgot which item I was on. Question I had about the easements, and I should have asked when we were in closed session about this, but I don't think I'm outside that bound. Will property values change or taxable income change or tax revenue on those properties? For example, the 121 North Wixom Road, if we buy $56,900 of easement, does that reduce their property value by $56,900, or is it still the same because they got a bike path going through it? I mean, we shouldn't change anything. We're not changing hands on the property itself, right?
Correct.
We're just buying the right to use it.
We're just buying access to it, so
okay.
I don't believe there will be a taxable.
So there shouldn't be any change in taxes. That was my question. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thank you, Mayor. What I want to do is maybe just express my disappointment at some of these property owners. I was on the Parks and Rec Commission many decades ago when we were doing the safety path throughout the city, and we had a spirit of community where a lot of these property owners gave those easements up for $1 or they granted them as a gift. It's a shame to see that same civic mindedness doesn't exist today with some of these property owners. I mean, $56,000, for this shared easement. I'm very in support of the project. I'm just disappointed in these property owners for not being more civic minded and saying, let's do the right thing for a shared use path. So just wanted to express that, get it on the record. Thank you.
Councilmember Berman?
Thank you. My only question was with regards to the easement that we don't have yet from Corox. What's the width of the current easement we have there versus what we're looking to obtain additional?
The existing easement is 12 feet wide, and it's made up of 2 pieces. One is it runs right up to the rail line, and then that second one ran across that rail line. So 12 feet wide was the existing easement, and then we would be adding 4 feet additionally with this subsequent purchase if we get the okay. And if I can, just add a little bit more detail, it just allows for better ability to handle the transition from the northward direction to the westward projection there. Just the turning radius is what we're looking for there.
So it's just an additional 4 feet we're asking for that we're not getting a response from yet?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, seeing no more questions, I've got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve the acquisition of property easements located at parcels referred to as 121 and 119 North Wixom Road and 49,630 and 50,000 Pontiac Trail for $56,900, $11,800, $28,120, and $10,500 respectively, with a total not to exceed cost of $107,320 from account number 253-730-972.000 land acquisition for the purpose of facilitating the development of Phase 2 Michigan Airline and Huron Valley Trail Extension Project. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the last item of new business. New business number 6 is a recommendation to approve a professional service agreement between Hubble, Roth & Clark and the City of Wixom as a transportation alternative grant recipient for construction engineering services on the Phase 2 Michigan Airline and Huron Valley Trail Extension Project in the amount of $235,539 from account number 411-751-985.551 Trailway Paving Project, and authorize Mayor Patrick Beagle to sign the agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Lord?
And before I turn it over to City Manager Brown, as part of the applicant to get the TAP grant, this did go out for bid for engineering service, correct?
That's correct.
And we had two bids on it, and Hubble, Roth & Clark was the lowest bid on it, right, correct?
That is all correct, sir, yes.
Very good.
It was put on the bid process.
Very good. Go ahead. Got it? You want to go on there?
Yeah, so we're proceeding with a recommendation to award our construction engineering services process to Hubble, Roth & Clark for, again, Phase 2 of the Michigan Airline and Huron Valley Trail Extension Project. And as the mayor mentioned, we did go through a bid process. And we're starting to wonder if we're seeing a decline in interest in these kind of situations just because of the sheer fact that there's so much work that's being undertaken with a variety of things taking place with additional funding sources and things of that nature, because we've had much more lively participation on the bid processes with the same mechanisms that we've used in the past. And those experiences had resulted in more bids than we received this time around. So we're getting concerned about what the direction is on that front with just the demand on engineering services that might be out there. But we only had the 2 bid proposals that we received. Hubble, Roth & Clark was a substantially lower bidder. I can give you a variety of information on that. Depending on how the bid's interpreted, it runs from anywhere from $24,000 to $50,000 less than the competing bid, and I would put the number as an estimate at closer to $50,000 just based on the realistic expenses that we expect. So substantially cheaper price from Hubble, Roth & Clark. They perform the design engineering in the first place, which provides another added benefit because some of the experience we had with Phase 1 of the trail project, there was a lot of interaction between the design engineering firm and the construction engineering firm, which were different on that project, that resulted in substantial additional billings. And that's part of what I'm rolling into that $50,000 expense figure, the differential between HRC and the next lowest bidder. So we're pleased to have an aggressive quote from HRC on this and ready to proceed with recommending that they be awarded the work for construction engineering on this phase of the trail. And that cost amount is about $235,539 is the recommended amount for the project.
Very good. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Yeah, one question I had was, with this, a major portion of this Phase 2 going along Pontiac Trail, which is a county road, do a lot of the engineering practices that have to be looked at for that portion of it where one side of the trail is exposed to relatively high-speed traffic, does Oakland County also get involved from an engineering perspective on this?
Yes, we received a permit from Road Commission for all the work up on Hampshire
Is there going to be visual barriers, physical barriers?
Okay.
Or?
Well, that you meant just construction-wise.
Yeah.
No, the design of it, yes, there's a 10-foot wide shared use path, and then the 5-foot just regular sidewalk. And the shared use path is a different color, it's painted. And there's, I think, different type of concrete used. So there's a visual difference. As far as traffic-wise, there you have the light poles, I guess, and maybe the planting. There's no physical barrier.
It'll extend, in the engineering designs, it'll extend somewhat into Pontiac Trail, though, correct?
Yes, it'll into the existing
lane.
parking spots.
Okay.
That's where the trail will be.
Okay, and then when you get by AFC Holcroft, then it'll be back
Then
in
it
board.
goes up, yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Councilmember Berman?
The only thing that I noticed in the other two projects we approved for you this evening, they had projected construction costs, but not this particular one. Do you have the projected construction cost of this yet?
Yes, we do. I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Good evening, Council. I'm Kristen Melting with Oakland County in the Economic Development Department. So I believe the total construction costs are right around $2.4 million on this project.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Manager Brown, so I've been kind of a vocal challenger of our process for sourcing engineering work. And I've been asking to get multiple bids. And I'm happy to see that Hubble Rock and Clark came in lowest. And I think, as they have a lot of experience with the city, I would expect a lot of efficiencies out of Hubble Rock and Clark to work with the city of Wixom. You know the people, you know the city, you know the offices, who can do what, et cetera. So that's good to see that HRC is actually the lowest. I'm a little concerned when we got two, but I just wanted to confirm for the record that, DPW Director Sigma was taking me through some of the numbers beforehand. It was somewhere around 471, did I get that right? Firms looked at this project, 40 approximately downloaded the details of the project,
40?
And we got two bids.
Correct.
And neither of those two bids were any local firms based here in Wixom that can also do that work. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So we didn't avoid the local firms, they just chose not to bid on this project?
Correct.
Okay.
The local firms that we looked at in the documents, they did download the information. So they had the RFP, they visually looked at the entire thing. So one of the, you always kind of try and question that, and Kristen can probably speak to it more, but the MDOT, the grant process that we have for this project has to follow the Michigan Department of Transportation standards, and it's a whole different list of items that they have to check off as they go through this project. So there is a certain amount of experience that comes with larger firms, and I don't know, we're thinking that may have caused some of it. We're not sure, because there is an awful lot of projects that are going on too right now, as Mr. Brown had said. So there's that as well.
Okay, but just kind of skip this part of it. I think you told me that our local firms were some of the 40 that downloaded the documentation.
They were.
So
yes.
they chose not to bid.
They chose not, and
okay.
Yeah, it's a go or no go at that scenario.
No,
so
that's fine.
they
Thank
chose
you.
not.
And I want to thank City Manager Brown and Director Sigma for getting multiple bids, and Michael from Hubble Roth and Clark. I'll probably tone down my rhetoric in the future, because it's good to see that HRC is competitive, at least in this one instance. So thank you.
Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to follow up with Councilman Sharp's, what he was asking. So 40 people or 40 firms downloaded, the RFP. And I think what you were explaining was that, some of them download, read it, and go, oh, we can't do this, or this, and that eliminates us. And you may not know, but do you know if of those 40, were there some more in there that could have, from your experience, or you just don't know?
Absolutely, yes. Just looking through the names, I've recognized a number of the firms, and and they have good reputations. And they were considering it. Of the 46 that downloaded the information, there's 3 parts to the information that would have needed to be downloaded. The first one is the initial RFP. The second one was an addendum that we had, and then we had another addendum, I believe. So there's 3 different things. Not all of
that 46 downloaded all of that information. So some of them only downloaded the first portion, which would be the request for proposal itself.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, I mean, City Manager Brown, broached the subject, when we started this item with the, concern that, engineering bids are, scarce and what the reasoning might be behind it. You didn't have to answer it now. Maybe ask HRC if they have some insight next time you have to do it now, just next time you're talking to them. Because I'm just curious, it's a symptom of,
Right.
I'm sure, I can't believe it's us, but maybe of just generally Michigan, the country.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I can give you a
Please,
15, 20-second talk on that. This was before this experience and how it played out, but I did have a conversation with HRC about staffing challenges in the engineering field in the state of Michigan in particular. That's something that does exist. It's happening in all different walks of life, and it's happening in engineering as well. It's kind of like difficult to attract additional staffing, and maybe you poach somebody from a competing firm, but they poach somebody from you, and you end up with the same number of engineers by the time you're done because of those kind of things going on. And it's a very tight labor market, and it's difficult to get additional staffing to do additional work. And I think that's something that's impacted this process, and it could impact other processes.
Yeah, I could have guessed you might say that, and I was always hoping it'd be something else.
Yeah,
It's just such a problem.
And
Anyway,
that conversation preceded this bid process by about a month, I think, so.
I'm off the rails here, so.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised, unfortunately, so.
Thank you.
Councilmember Berman?
The only thing I'll just add, and I'm supportive moving forward with this project, but I do think continuing to send things out to bid is important. My quick math has the engineering on the Maple 2 project around 17% of the project. The wastewater plant is 12 to 13% of the project, and the trail is under 10%. So this is the one we sent out to bid, and the percent is substantially lower. I just, if we can continue sending things out to bid, I'm glad that Hubbell, Roth, and Clark came in the lowest, but I think sending things out to bid keeps people honest, and with that, I do support this.
All right, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve a professional services agreement between Hubbell, Roth, and Clark and the City of Wixom as a transportation alternatives grant recipient for construction engineering services on the Phase 2 Michigan Airline and Huron Valley Trail Extension Project in the amount of $235,539 from account number 411-751-985.551 Trailway Paving Project, and authorize Mayor Patrick Beal to sign the agreement. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. That includes new business tonight. We'll move on to the second call to the public. The rules to the call to the public will be the same as the first. With the public shall address the council during call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence, and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council. And all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the second call to the public tonight? Seeing none, I'll close the second call to the public and move on to city manager's comments. City Manager Brown?
Just one thing that I want to highlight for my city manager update, very proud of this. Every 3 years, the police department lien practices are audited by the state of Michigan. That's the Law Enforcement Information Network, the lien system. This very tough audit because of the highly confidential nature of the databases and the information that's involved. Our police records manager, Caroline Shave, is responsible for that function, and the results of this audit, which were a perfect score, and we wanted to say congratulations to Caroline Shave on her work, as well as all the record staff that works with her on a great achievement. Getting a perfect score on the audit for our lien system is something we're very pleased, and congratulations to Caroline Shave and her staff.
Very good, thank you. Council comments. Councilmember Gremlin Fox?
Thank you. I have no comments, however, I just had a question for City Manager Brown. Could you give us an update, and if it's not today, that's fine, but in the next couple weeks or the next council meeting regarding the status of fire recruiting?
I can give a quick one now, or we can wait for the more in-depth
Sure.
one. So we just talked about this as a staff here about what's happening there. There was the potential staffing opportunity that was out there with another organization losing some folks. We did have one applicant from that pool of people that we had heard about that has gone through our process. I'm making it up to some extent, but say it's a 5-step process, they're at step 5. And it's kind of bogged down at that point, so we haven't managed to bring that person on yet, but we're hopeful that they'll come on and close out that last step, if you will. That's the only potential staffing development in the offing that we have currently. We were trying to get through the letter of understanding process that we managed to accomplish to facilitate that, and we have done that, and hence that's where we're moving forward. We're hoping that maybe additional opportunities will come up with that group of people that we had heard about through this process. So far, we've just had the one applicant that's gone through the full process with us, or almost through the full process with us. But beyond that, I think it's the letter of intent. It was intended to address that market opportunity, if you will. But beyond that, it also affords us greater flexibility in terms of attraction capability, right? Because in the past, what we did through that letter of intent, or letter of agreement, I should say, we added an auxiliary fire position, which allows us to hire somebody from further outside of the city environment, right? So that they can come from a further distance away. That allows us to cast a wider net. And now we need to start executing on that now that we have that flexibility, and we'll put together additional plans for how to go about doing that harder work on the attraction front. And that's something that we've had some conversations with staff internally. We had a committee structure in the past. We need to decide if that's something that we won't need to continue to work with or expand beyond. Had a talk with the chief of the fire department as well about this, and we're going to have to just start hitting it hard now that we have that additional flexibility with the outside of the X number of miles that we had previously restricting us. So,
Do we have an active recruitment out currently?
Currently, no. Part of the challenge has been the chairperson from the ad hoc committee left the fire department. He reached his retirement age and decided that he no longer wanted to participate in the part-time work with the city. And the other member from the fire department recently left his full-time position with the fire department. So we are actively trying to fill those seats. These are volunteer positions, and with the increase in call volume, many of the firefighters don't find time in their free time to participate in that activity. So trying to get the collective bargaining agreement wrapped up, it just has taken a less of a priority.
Have we ever done flyers, door hangers? I know we have the, I don't know what it's called out front, the marquee. Do we ever put a message on there?
So we did several at the fire station, some down here at City Hall. We had pop-up banners that used to be littering the city, if you will. We did have the banner on the fire station. We had it on the railing. We had it on the building. We did have, during fire department open house, a recruitment table associated with the fire prevention table. So there were flyers, the tri-folds that we put out. We have used Zip Recruiter, if you're familiar with that. They go after all the EMTs that are in the zip code. Anybody that's registered with the state as a firefighter or as an EMT. We received no responses. We've done the Facebook Marketplace on several occasions. Most of the people lived a great distance away, and I'm talking like Monroe, and they were looking for only full-time employment.
So these are all initiatives that we can still continue to pursue?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The challenge has been in the past, we didn't have the auxiliary position, so they had to live within 5 miles of the firehouse, and we now have that letter of understanding that allows us to cast the wider net.
So hopefully that'll open it up a little.
Absolutely. Both of the candidates that we recently received were outside that scope, so we're hoping that that will benefit us that way.
Great, thank you.
And we're looking to utilize existing opportunities as well, like the banner over Pontiac Trail is something that I would like to get something developed for as well. And we're going to be working on the branding messages, if you will, and the visuals, and get that taken care of shortly.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Smiley.
Oh, Chief, stay there. Just, wasn't the first thing, but since you're right up there, I know the Panther hunt went really well. Great job at Parks and Rec, well done on the job. I know the fire department open house I just wondered if you could give us a quick how that went and how it was received.
It went exceptionally well, and I think was received extremely well. We had roughly 500 people there. It was slightly different this year for those of you that have been there in the past. We had all the vehicles open. We allowed the public to kind of climb through, climb on kind of thing. Because of the potential outbreak, we limited access to the building, limited access to the vehicles. The food was prepared ahead of time, individually wrapped, so they couldn't, it was not like a buffet line that we've had in the past, but it was still the barbecue, and it was still well received, and we had beautiful weather and tremendous attendance.
Great to hear. Yeah, I haven't been to it for years, but I know it's a fun event. Glad we do that. Thanks. That's all I have to say. But I do want to congratulate Jody Bannerman and thank him for his service to Wixom, and also well done Carolyn Shave on our records department for that perfect score and that lean audit. That's really great. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any comments tonight.
All right. Councilmember Berman.
Thank you. Well, to Chief Roberts, my children enjoyed the open house, and one comment I'll state, there was a lot of people there, and granted I was trying to watch 4 children from running off in different directions. I did not notice you had a recruitment table there, so I'm not sure where you had it, but maybe more front and center next time. Because I do think that we really do need to focus on recruitment. And I noticed in front of the Novi fire station today, they have a big banner with a big sign to add a new suit to your wardrobe with a big picture of a firefighting suit. I mean, maybe a sign like that over Pontiac Trail and a banner like that in front of the fire station. Because I really do think that getting more staff there is going to help keep our current staff happier and probably make you happier. But after I got home with 4 children, they were all telling my 5th child that was with my wife at the time about it. My wife had to go back up there with the other child, and she went through and did everything as well too. So all 5 of my children really enjoyed the experience, and I appreciate you and your staff having that.
Councilmember Gatto.
Thank you. I wanted to congratulate the Community Service, Parks and Rec departments on the Panther Hunt. Great turnout. I enjoyed passing out pumpkins and seeing all the kids dressed up again. Beautiful day for it, as well to the fire department. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but it's nice to hear that you had such a good turnout and whatnot. It's usually a fun fall day in the city of Wixom between those 2 events, so always something I usually look forward to. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Welcome, Jody Bannerman, and that's it. No other comments.
All right. I just want to congratulate Jody Bannerman and thank him for his service to Wixom, and thanks to Denise Darga for helping set things up tonight, get the coffee ready and the cake and stuff like that. And congratulations to Caroline and everybody in the police department for their good audit. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, guys. Have a great night.